Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, and I'm your host of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello, Unbreakable Mompreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, your host, and today I'm here with Shilpi Zalani. And she is a certified coach, which she's been in your shoes. So if you're looking to start a business or you're not quite sure what to do, but you want to do something and you're a mom, then today is your day. And so without further ado, Shilpi, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes, hi Charisse. So lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So my name is Shilpi Zalani, and I'm a certified high performance coach and mentor. And more than that, I'm really a mom of two. And I've been on both sides of the struggle, the corporate grind and the quest for freedom.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about that. Because you were in the corporate setting for a little while. And so what made you decide to make the shift and did you cut cold turkey or did you transition into it?
Yeah, so let's go back, right? Really where I come from and a bit of my background to make you understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I was born in India and raised in Malaysia, and I come from very culturally conservative background, if you will, where women were primarily expected to be housewives. And I became the first woman in my extended family to earn a degree and start working. So when I got married and moved to the US on a dependent visa, I suddenly couldn't work. And for the first time, I felt completely trapped. Eventually I fought my way back. I went to grad school here in the US, started working again in corporate IT, and everything felt like it was finally falling into place. And then I became a mom. And, before kids, I could handle the commute, the overtime, even the gender inequality that comes at work for many women. But once I tried to manage it all, I found myself completely burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the mom guilt, right? It really hit hard. So I still remember there was one night after a long day, and my little one, I think she was 3 or 4 at that time, and she said to me, "Mama, I miss you. Why do you have to work?" That moment completely broke me, right? And, I know you're a mom too, so I'm sure you can relate. I realized that I didn't want to choose between my career and my family. So I took a leap of faith and started my first business. And over time, I built and sold multiple six-figure businesses. And that gave me the freedom that I was really searching for. Now, through my program, it's called From 9 to Thrive. I help ambitious working moms build businesses that fit their lives instead of running them. Because too many of us are really stuck in careers that demand everything from us but give us so little flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to unpack that for a little. So you've built and you've sold multiple six-figure businesses. And I was listening to something yesterday, I was watching, and he built like 150 funnels. It was Russell Brunson before his one took off, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, we thought that this was going to be the thing. And it was like UW pants, like underwear pants. I never even saw the light of day.com.
Yeah.
And so what I'd love to hear though, is that you built it, you took
Mm-hmm.
it where it needed to be, and then you sold it. So let's talk about that. Like what type of businesses did you do?
They were very traditional brick and mortar businesses. So my first business was actually an after school. It had a 5-minute commute. I could have my kids there with me. I was serving the elementary school students. So my kids were really young at that time. And, it wasn't an opportunity. I mean, I don't come from a business family. So it's not like I knew what kind of business I should go for or whatever. This happened to actually fall into my lap. My daughter used to go to a preschool, and the owner of the preschool asked me if, I'd be interested in opening up the after school in the area we had just moved into. Initially, I was like, working with kids. I mean, it's one thing to work with your own kids or be with your kids, but then to be responsible for so many, I wasn't sure if it was for me. I mean, coming from corporate IT and everything as well, I was like, but then again, like I said, there wasn't a commute. There was, I could be with my kids. It almost felt too good to be true. At least it was worth trying. So I did take that leap of faith. It was very scary, a lot of fear, right? Like, fear of the unknown, fear of the risk that we'd have to take and everything. Started off that after school, and then it went on to become the number one after school in the area. and I sold it in about 4 years or so. I'm big on alignment. I didn't realize it back then, but I felt like at that time of my life, that worked perfectly for me because my kids were young and everything, and it worked perfectly. But then as, the kids were getting older, my older one was in fifth grade or going into sixth, I felt like she didn't want to always be in the after school. She was growing out of it. So I'm like, okay, this is a good time to sell and move on to whatever's coming next. So I sold that in 4 years for a good profit, and then I started my own staffing franchise. So the first one is also a franchise. The second one was a staffing franchise. It was enough. I was scrolling through Entrepreneurs magazine one day, and I was looking like what are franchises to buy, and I came across, the number one staffing franchise in the country. And I was like, that happened really quick. The first one, I took some time to really think through whether this is the right thing for me. Here, I just went straight on. I went for I guess there was like an invitation to go see headquarters, meet the people there, and I just went with it. It went really quick. And then I had that for 3 years, and then COVID hit right in 2020. And again, it was not a work from home kind of thing. I had to be in the office. I had my own office nearby. But it also had a lot of challenges with COVID. It's not like our business really did not do too well at that time. A lot of businesses we were serving were essential businesses, so they were still open. But I'm in California, and with that came a lot of policies for employees. It's a very employee friendly state, if you will. So it wasn't the best for employers. So, and I saw the employees, we were working with a lot of blue collar workers. So one, it was honestly, it was a bit of a cultural shock for me getting into the business. I thought I was getting into corporate staffing when I signed up. I didn't do my due diligence perhaps, but then working with the blue collar workers, it comes with different challenges, right? There were staff who were not able to make it to the office to come in for interviews or do a drug test, a urine test, all those kind of things as well. So it was very different from the background I come. There's nothing wrong with it. It was very different for me. So I wasn't really enjoying the work either. But again, in 3 years, it was a profitable business. And thankfully, in 2020, somebody was looking to buy it. So I got out of it, and it was perfect at that point. And after 2020, I think I was exposed to the coaching world, the world of Tony Robbins, and I attended some of his events, did some coaching. I got certified as a high performance coach, and I was trying to figure out what am I going to do next. I knew deep inside I wanted to help women. Maybe because of the background I come from, but I wasn't able to really pinpoint what that is just yet. So I had a bit of a journey along the way. I started my own cookie business. I was doing corporate cookies, sugar cookies. And that was just something my kids suggested as a stepping stone for me, just because they love my sugar cookies. Like if they can get unlimited cookies every day, all day, they were happy. So, but I have to warn you, I mean, like they had too many cookies. So did my husband. Not the most healthiest decision I've made, but that did well. It was I guess, online business. I was primarily selling online. It was a home kitchen, and the first two I did start and sell. The third one, I actually decided to close it down after 1.5 years, earlier this year, mainly because I wanted to focus on my coaching mentorship program, which my cookie business really became full time, which I thought it'll be part time. It'll be a stepping stone for me, but it became more than that. And I'm very thankful for all my clients because it was not easy having visibility as a
And then we come to where you are today. So
yes.
that's coaching. So what do you feel like one of our listeners that's listening and thinking, okay, I want to do something because I'm tired of driving to work and my kids home, and I'm tired of not being able to tuck them into bed and stuff. What is the advice that you would give somebody who's thinking of transitioning from full-time W-2 to independent?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in my program from 9 to 5, a big follow through message I have throughout is about courage. And I think it's not like women or people don't know if they want to do something more, or they might even know what kind of business to start, but they don't always take the first steps. So I think courage is a big part of it. I have a 9 module program, and the number one, and I would say the biggest one, is the entrepreneurial mindset, because there's a very different mindset that comes with being an employee versus being an entrepreneur. And I really focus heavily on that program. I remember it is Tony Robbins again, where I first heard it, and he says, 80% is mindset and 20% is skills, really. So I totally believe in that 100%. So we focus primarily on that. And then we navigate into deciding what's the right business for you. And again, I talk about alignment. It's, who you are, what you want to do, and is there enough demand for it? So I have a whole structured framework around it. But right, we really navigate what's the right business for you, not just for now, but long term, what makes the most sense, right? So I would say the biggest thing is courage, and the fear of the unknown is what holds people back. So it's more of take the risk today for more fulfilled tomorrow. Again, that's a message I put in my program because I think people in jobs right now, people are getting laid off. I mean, with AI coming, there's so much uncertainty out there, and people think that they're safe in their jobs. I mean, I wish that was the case, right, for many of us. But we are going through times when things are changing and changing very rapidly. So it's always good to at least have a backup plan. You don't have to quit your job to start something. I mean, it depends on everyone is in a very different situation. It could be a side hustle perhaps that they started or something maybe which has passive income. But I mean, I think it's good to always start, even if your first business may not be successful. Not many businesses are, but the point is, I always feel like you haven't failed until you've tried. So I'm a big believer.
Well, and you're not stuck in that position. Like you, after 4 years, you sold that business. After 3 years, you sold that business. After a year and a half. And so it's like, go ahead and get it started. And if that leads you to the next step, I think sometimes because we call it our calling, that
Mhm.
God, like, okay, are you going to take the step or are you not? Like, this is what I feel like I want you to do. But that doesn't mean that it has to stay that way the whole time. I know this one guy that he builds these businesses up to like 60%. He gets his C-suite in and then he keeps ownership, but he moves on to the next business. And so
Yeah.
I've watched him over the last 5 years. You think he's a squirrel, but he's not. Like he's just
Yeah.
building different businesses. And so it's
Yeah.
like, okay, next one. Okay, next one.
Correct.
And so it's very interesting to watch. And that's the thing I think for because I've been like launching a business that it's kind of under wraps, but like, okay, I've got to actually start moving on this. And so for me, it's like, okay, on this one business that I'm doing, I need to get to this point today and I need to get to this point. So
Mhm.
even if it's like 15, 20, 30 minutes, at least you're taking the progression and moving towards it. Because before you know it, like I remember 3 years ago till today, I'm like, wait a second, I should have had this already taken care of or this done.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, it's easier to say it and to coach people. Sometimes doing and implementing is tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I go back to people know they want the change. But then without the action, I mean, clarity comes with action. And so many people just want to have that clarity before they even start, right? So
Yeah.
you have to take action to figure things out. Even if it's small step, you have to like do the needle moving task, like you said,
Yeah.
just to keep moving forward.
And you hire a coach because they keep you accountable, right? Because if
Exactly.
you're supposed to be meeting with them next week or tomorrow and you're like, oh shoot, I haven't done that yet today. I got to get it done. Like
Mhm.
it pushes you in a good way because you have accountability. If you don't have an accountability to anybody, it is very easy to not do anything ever.
Absolutely. Yeah. As an entrepreneur, it's so lonely,
Yeah.
honestly,
Mhm.
unless you have a big team and whatever not. I think, and even if you have a team, you need to have accountability. Your staff may not be your accountability partner.
Yeah.
So I totally agree that having a coach is really critical. I realized that much later in my life. Like I said, beyond 2020 is when I was exposed to the coaching world. And I realized the importance of it. And I help my clients work through it. Like my program, I mean, the way I structured initially, I was going to have like a self-paced course and try and, just do it that way. But I built a coaching program. It has a self-paced course inside, but it's really the hand holding along the way. It's built, I mean, I built it because that's something I wish I had when I first started my entrepreneurship journey. And I think it's the accountability, it's the hand holding, it's the guidance, and it speeds up the process as well, right? Like trying to figure everything out on your own, having a coach and mentor can really speed up some of the processes just to get to where you want to be, at least.
I love that. So
Yeah.
true. Okay, so it's Nine to Thrive, right?
Correct. Yes.
That's such a catchy. How'd you come up with that title?
I don't know. I think it was a play on like from 9 to 5. And like really, I was initially just working, thinking of serving the working women crowd. But really, what I've learned along the way is it's not just the working women that are looking for something like this, right? It's even the stay-at-home moms who want to have something. So it's a play on word. I mean, it can be from a 9 to 5 job to a business. It can also be like you can be in a job and thrive as well. So there's various ways to go about it, but I kind of liked it. I
No,
liked
I
it.
love it. It's great. Okay, so let's switch gears because time's almost up. Let's talk about motherhood. Okay.
Mhm.
You talked about how it kind of everything changed because working overtime, doing different things. Like last night, I'm working on this house of ours. I'm so tired of it. And my husband took my daughter home because it was bedtime. And so as I'm driving home a couple hours later, they're like, Mom, when are you going to be home? I'm like, oh, I'm on my way. How long? 25 minutes. And oh,
Oh,
and I mean, it's 10 o'clock, right? They should have already been asleep by now. And so I think that sometimes the juggling part is really tough. Like when I brought my daughter, I had her help me with some stuff. She's like, Mom, I hate your job. And I'm like, no, that's not what you're supposed to do, or that's not how you're supposed to feel. Like this gives us the freedom to go do stuff. But from a kid's perspective, like steaming the paint off tile floor isn't fun to them after a while. And I get it, it's not. So as a mom, like when you started the entrepreneurial journey, what advice would you give a new mom? Say that she's 9 months pregnant, brand new mom, and you get talking to her and she's wanting to start this business. What advice, now that you've been through it, would you give her?
well, I would say, try and step into the discomfort. Start with small habits of making yourself feel uncomfortable and take those risks. Again, I think there's, like you said, as a mom, we're juggling so many things, right? Like, even if you have a supporting partner at home, I think juggling between the chef, the cook, the cleaner, trying to have a career, trying to be, the best mom and daughter-in-law, everything you're trying to do, right? And I think, there are so many women who don't prioritize self-care, who don't, I think there's nearly 10 million women or working moms who suffer from burnout. And, I think, and it's because women are, I think primarily experience more burnout than men because of the unequal demands placed on us and, at work and at home. I think that mom guilt is something that's very real. So, yeah, we carry mom guilt, that constant nagging feeling that we're not giving our kids enough time, enough attention. And then on top of that, a lot of us, I don't know about you, Charisse, but like we get those pointed questions like, why are you not there for your kids? Or why are you, if you're working, then, why are you not cooking for your kids? And if you're a stay-at-home mom, and why aren't you contributing to the household? So there's always something that's pulling us in all ways, right? Physically, emotionally, mentally, right? So I think it's not just personal, it's cultural, it's societal, it's generational almost. And we're fulfilling so many roles that are defined for us long before we ever had a say, right? So I think we're expected to be everything to everyone without complaining about it. So again, I think for that mom, I would say that try and prioritize yourself. What do you really want in life, right? Because one day your kids are going to grow up and go off to college, right? And then you'll be thinking to yourself, what did I do with my life? Or even if, you feel like you had a really fulfilling life with the kids at home, what are you going to do now? You want to feel productive because I truly believe that if you're not growing, you're dying inside. So you have to keep that personal growth inside of you in whatever way possible. I am not, against being a stay-at-home mom or a housewife or anything. I come from a family where my mom, my sister, everyone is a stay-at-home mom. But I also do believe that, there is more to us, more we can contribute towards. And truly, it's all about fulfillment, right? What fulfills you 110%. So that's what I would say. I don't know if that answered your question.
It does. And I think that that's something, I don't know why I always get these royal feeds with Prince William, King. I don't know. And this will air a couple months later, but it's interesting to watch because I guess William and his dad aren't speaking, the King, Charles.
Yeah.
And because William came out and said, I want my children to have a stable life. I want them to be able to be kids and to feel secure and not have to feel like they have to do this, this, and this. And that's a good thing. And if you as a mom are not feeling fulfilled, if you're not feeling like being a stay-at-home mom, it is a hard job.
It's a
Dangerous
full-time job, more
job.
than that.
Like if I were to stay at home, did nothing else, like my house would be spotless. I would be that mom that I always wanted to be, right? But as I start to do that, I find myself like, okay, I need interaction with adults, or I need this and this, or I need to feel like I've accomplished something.
Yeah.
And part of it was like from 19 to 35, I was the breadwinner. I didn't get to be that mom because of the circumstances with my first husband. And so I'm now not used to relying on other people. And I want to be able to say, I'm making this money. And so I think, there's all these mental things, but I think for every single person, it's different. And for you to compare yourself to somebody else, you can't do that. Like you have to make sure that you're happy, because the most important thing is you want to be happy so that your kids see that you're happy, so that they can believe that they can be happy,
You can't pour from an empty cup,
Yeah.
So I agree. Totally agree. Yeah.
Great advice. Okay. So if our listeners wanted to get a hold of you or coach with you, how would they do that?
Yes. So first of all, thank you so much, Charisse. It's been incredible and I love chatting with you. But if you'd like to connect, you can find me on Instagram at Shilpi Zalani, or visit my website at shilpizalani.com. And if you're a mom who's dreaming of starting a freedom-based business, I'd love to help you map out your next goals. And you can book a free strategy session with me on my website. And I'm actually starting a new beta coaching program. It's for about 4 weeks. So, just DM me on Instagram or my website, and I'd be happy to connect and then sign you up for that. Thanks.
And it's SHILPI for the listeners, and ZALANI.
That is correct. Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on.
Lovely chatting with you.
And Unbreakable Moms, it is time to thrive. So if you're in a 9 to 5 and you want to get out of that, or if you want to thrive in your current one, but you're wanting to do a side hustle as well, then reach out to Shilpi, because she has built the businesses, she's sold the businesses, she knows what she's talking about. So if you like this, please subscribe and share, and go out and make it a great day. Beautiful moms, remember, you are unbreakable. Keep illuminating the world with your strength, pursuing your dreams, and reveling in the splendor of motherhood. This is Charisse Walker, bidding you farewell for now. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on the next episode of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Until then, keep shining bright. Signing off with love, Charisse Walker.